Truth and love, my G's. It's your boy King Serious. This is my first video titled God is Black and a Woman. I'm pretty sure you clicked on this link because you were curious. You know what I mean? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. First and foremost, God. What is God? Who is God? You know what I mean? Actually, let's go ahead and backtrack because there's also this concept of God out in society that I'm probably going to completely usurp, along with a couple other people on YouTube already doing this. But the concept of God that you're used to is very religious-based, Christian-based, and usually refers to a white man and his son. All of that is bullshit. You feel me? But here I can give you a breakdown of who and what God really is. You know what I mean? And some insight and facts behind the matter. So without further ado, what is God? Off rip, God is an infinite source of intelligence and love. You know what I mean? It's really that simple. An infinite source of intelligence and love. It's also considered to be the highest extent of the mind. Case in point, intelligence, and also the fact that the universe is mental. That's a universal law. It's mental because it's the highest extent of the mind. The mind holds intelligence, and without really getting into a sidebar, love or your heart controls intelligence. But nonetheless, it's an infinite source. Not just a source though, like energy. It's an infinite energy, infinite consciousness, a unified consciousness. You see what I'm saying? Like in metaphysics, which is the study of the unseen, you have the seen, the physical material, then you have the unseen, metaphysics. It is also considered to be orgone energy, which is where we get orgasm, organic. You feel me? It's a unified energy of orgasmic energy, orgone energy. An infinite source of eternal love. It's an infinite source, off rip. It's not even a physical being, yet alone a man, a white man at that. You feel me? But, the highest extent of the mind. Now, from that mind, from that infinite source, that eternal love, unified orgone energy source, it's a spirit. You see what I'm saying? Like everybody calls God, like the goddess, the spirit of God, or the great spirit, according to Native Americans. Or should I say like African Indians, because they're really just African people who were over here in the Americas before anyone. It's a great spirit, the extent of that mind, you see what I'm saying, is that spirit, at the top of the mind. The condensation of spirit is the mind, you feel me? And if you don't know what condensation, like condensation of rain and things of that nature, you know what I mean? Precipitation and all that, from the spirit, from the infinite eternal source of love, of intelligence, of eternity, you know what I'm saying? You get the mind. And the highest extent of that will go right back to what I was saying, the Spirit of God. Now, to further break that down, what is spirit? Well, spirit is an energy, like I said, a consciousness, you know what I'm saying? But to further break down what is composed of that spirit, you get two forces of magnetism and electricity, often known as electromagnetism, which is, aside from the metaphysical energy of orgone energy, or chi, as certain indigenous tribes call it, chi, you get electromagnetism, which is considered to be the greatest force in this universe. And of course, from electromagnetism, you get magnetism and electricity. Now, magnetism, off rip, is the most powerful force. You know what I'm saying? It's the force that governs majority of the universe in general. You know, everything is magnetic. You know, even when you put two magnets together, you know what I'm saying, they either attract or retract. Now, from that force, when they retract and attract, it's very electrical, but nonetheless it's magnetic energy. You know what I'm saying? Even the magnetic poles around the planet, things of that nature, like everything is magnet. Even gravity. Gravity is nothing more than electromagnetic energy. So magnetism, you feel me, would be God. But further than that, they don't tell you is magnetic energy is feminine energy. I mean, it is what it is. It's straight like that. It's feminine energy. Electricity would be masculine, which is why electromagnetism, the combined forces of both, would be the orgone energy, you know, the spirit. You feel me? But to further break that down, magnetism, like I said, is the strongest energy in the cosmos. You know, and another analogy for the cosmos, just to stay on basis of the very title of this video, metaphysicians actually call the cosmos the cosmic womb. You feel me? Because everything comes from space. Everything comes from the cosmos. You know what I'm saying? It births everything. Hence, a divine feminine aspect. Hence, magnetism. From magnetism, we get electricity. You feel me? From spirit, we get electromagnetism. You know? So it's still a sense of hierarchy, if you will. You know what I mean? But to continue, further breakdown, electromagnetism. Now, from electromagnetism, if you continue the hierarchy, you feel me, the ladder, afterwards we get light. Now, if electromagnetism, orgone energy, unified energy, is the universe itself, is God, and from that we get a substance called light, and from light we later get everything else that we know, you know, like from light we get space. You know what I'm saying? The very space to even feel things, to be in things, to interact with things, space out as far as the universe, you know, also called ether. From light we get space and ether. Feel me? So far we got infinite creator, being intelligence, you know, eternal, infinite intelligence and love, you know, which is a spirit, an energy, a consciousness. From that, you know, we get the mind. From that, you know, we get the mind, the highest extent of the mind. And then from that mind energy, from that spirit energy, we get electromagnetism, being magnetism, later creating electricity, which later creates light, which then later creates space and ether. You know, the very substance of what's around us. You know what I'm saying? Like the very fabric of what's around us. Which in space, you see that color is black or darkness. You feel me? Now, speaking of black, like I said, God is black and a woman. What is black? Why is it black? Well, off rip, I just said, even when you look up at space, on the night sky, it's dark, it's black. You know, black is the color of all colors absorbed. Scientifically proven straight like that. You feel me? That's what black is. You absorb every color all together. You don't get no other color but a dark, dark hue of black. You feel me? Even in the visible light spectrum, you know, which is what we govern physicality or materialism on this planet. You know, colors of the rainbow. You feel me? You add all those colors up, it goes to black. You know, even in the visible light spectrum, the highest color in the spectrum is purple. After purple, it goes to black. Simple as that. And as I said, black is the color of darkness. You feel me? From darkness, from space, from that ether that you see, we get light. You know what I'm saying? Before that light, we got electromagnetism, so on and so forth, like I was saying. So, I mean, it has to be black. You feel me? The very backdrop of the universe that we know of. And backdrop, you know, like a canvas, you know? Like in the stores, you get a canvas, usually white, or different colors, maybe neon color, chalk, like a whiteboard, or a blackboard for chalk, whiteboard, you feel me? The very backdrop, the very canvas of the universe is black. And as we know, from common sense, the universe is God. From the universe, we get everything else. And that's black, that's dark. So, to continue, like I was saying, from light, we're able to identify things like physicality, you know, or the things in physicality like material, you feel me? The very material that we need to identify anything physically. Because like I said, metaphysics is the unseen, and physical is anything that you can see, feel, touch, taste, you know, things of that nature. Sense, really sense as far as with your own eyes, not the third eye, but your two naked eyes. You know what I'm saying? So from that light, we're able to get space and ether and identify materialism and physicality. Now, on a more scientific approach, especially what they taught us in school, the little bit that they taught us in school, I'm not going to get into that. We get not just black, but we get the carbon color. You feel me? The natural element of carbon. You feel me? We are carbon-based beings, according to science. Now, carbon is clearly black. It's clearly a dark material, a dark substance. You feel me? Even from the famous, great Dr. Sebi, he even said things are not even black. They're carbon. But if we had to identify using physical terms, the color of that carbon is black. Now, another thing would be, and not only that, I mean, carbon is one of the most abundant elements within the cosmos. Feel me? The backdrop of the cosmos is black. Carbon being black is one of the most abundant elements. You see where I'm going. Black. Another thing, melanin. Melanin is a pigment that comes from cells, a dark pigment, a black pigment that comes from the nucleus of cells. You feel me? It's even said that carbon and melanin are the same thing, which in retrospect, if carbon is black and melanin and carbon are the same thing, melanin is black, or black pigment, or dark pigmentation. And we get that pigmentation from the cells within melanin, you feel me, called melanocytes, which secrete, like I said, a black pigment into the body, you feel me, into the body, into skin, into hair, you know what I mean? Now, there's different types of melanin. You got neuromelanin, pheomelanin, and eumelanin. Now, just to touch on them slightly, neuromelanin is the melanin that governs neurological function, brain functions, you know, the things that allow you to even interact right now. You feel me? And that's all started from the pineal gland, or your third eye. You feel me? Now, we get melanin into the body from the absorption of light. Going back to light coming from ether, which is black, coming from space, you know, light being the product of electricity and magnetism, both coming from the cosmos, space. So melanin us getting melanin secreted into the bodies from the pineal gland would be from us absorbing light, UV rays, the sun. Melanin is considered condensed sunlight. You feel me? Straight like that. It's considered, straight like that. You feel me? Why is that though? Well, because I already broke it down. You know what I'm saying? If we get melanin, a dark pigmentation, from the sun, from light, and I told you light is the very thing that comes from electromagnetism. Electromagnetism is an energy, a force from ether, from space, from the cosmos. It is the condensation of spirit. That spirit being the highest extent of the mind. The universe is mental. That's the mind. What makes up the universe? It's a spirit. That spirit is an infinite source. It's God. It's an infinite source of intelligence. You feel me? Of love. You know what I'm saying? So, from UV rays, from light, from the sun, which comes from the ether, we get things activated in us that are also of dark pigmentation, like melanin. You feel me? Like the color black, this shirt. Especially since, if I'm not mistaken, they even tell us in school, you wear black and you get hotter, or things, you know what I'm saying, you absorb heat. You feel me? Well, the reason that is because from that blackness, from that darkness, came that light and heat in general, because heat expands. Light, usually causes heat. From that, you get expansion. You get like a magnetic flow, an attracting and retracting. You see what I'm saying? So, I broke down what God is. I broke down why it's black. You feel me? What is black? You feel me now? Why is it a woman? I'm glad you asked. So, I'm going to break this down in a few ways. First, starting off, the reason that it's a woman, particularly where I'm getting at, a black woman or a woman of melanin, of carbon. And not just carbon, because there's another element that can also relate, especially that relates to like the color brown, but brown coming from black. Copper. You feel me? Copper is a metal. It conducts electricity and magnetism. You know what I'm saying? Going back to that. But, without, being too much of a sidebar, the reason that it is a woman, a black woman, a brown woman, a melanin woman, a woman in general, is because, one, starting off historically, you feel me? Like they told us in school. And if they didn't tell you in school, you can research. You can Google everything. You feel me? This is the generation of technology, information. You can Google anything. The internet is the source. You know what I'm saying? There's a portal to information and intelligence out in the cosmos. So historically speaking, the first human discovered physically on this planet, was a woman by the name of Lucy. You feel me? It's not even debatable. What was it? 3.2 million years ago at that. It's a long time, which will probably interfere with some other truths or lies, technically, that you've been told. So, with that being said, knowing that the first human ever discovered 3.2 million years ago was a woman by the name of Lucy, aka also known as the mitochondrial Eve. Ooh, Eve. The mitochondrial Eve. That means the first Eve. I think that's gonna kind of stir up some shit, because you guys know Eve as the deception of man, saying the cause of sin, all that bullshit. But I'll talk about the mitochondrial fact in a little bit. But back to the point of Lucy, first human ever discovered on this planet 3.2 million years ago, being a woman, being known as the mitochondrial Eve. Now, if that's the case, the Eve story that you know in your Bibles, actually the whole Adam and Eve story, technically so far, would be inaccurate. It'd be false. You feel me? Straight like that. I mean, because I just proved so far through facts, and if you don't believe these facts, you can research. I research all day. That's what the internet is for. You feel me? I just proved that the feminine energy, magnetism, birthed the masculine energy of electricity, both being together an orgone energy of the source, the Spirit of God, the infinite creator. With the hierarchy, I put, if the feminine aspect, after it came from source, created the masculine aspect, if historically the first human found was a woman 3.2 million years ago, nicknamed mitochondrial Eve, then that completely usurps the Eve story in the Bible already, without even me furthering this goddamn lecture. But let's continue, because I don't think I don't understand still. So let's talk about some genetics and biology of why it's a woman. You feel me? First off, which could probably end this whole shit right here, but I'm gonna continue even after that. A process known biologically as parthenogenesis. Yes, it has the word Genesis in it. Now, Genesis in your Bible means, long story short, the beginning. Creation of, earth from the heavens? The heavens being the universe, by the way. And I already just broke down the universe, the cosmos. So let's put these pieces together. You feel me? But parthenogenesis. What is parthenogenesis? Off rip, if you just take the suffix of the word, you feel me? Genesis. Of course, it is the beginning or the start of the creating of something. But it's actually the allowance that women had, because they don't have it anymore, you feel me, due to manipulation of genetics caused by, countless things like food and, food is actually a big one, because it's very physical based, psychologically based too, but because of like food and vaccinations and things of that nature, it allowed women to self-fertilize. Parthenogenesis is the self-fertilization from the Bartholin glands within the vaginal walls of a woman. Now, parthenogenesis is also an event that's usually undergone in plants. You feel me? But or any feminine energy, any feminine entity or living organism. You feel me? But so it's the self-fertilization of semen, of fluids from the vaginal walls via the Bartholin glands within the walls of a woman that secretes semen, thus causing self-fertilization, self-impregnation. So off rip, that completely eliminates men in a biological, physical sense of thinking that procreation is needed even though it is, but as of right now, eliminating the fact that men are needed for procreation. Because thanks to parthenogenesis and the example that many plants and things of that nature give us, things can self-fertilize and create life, which kind of ties back in to the whole immaculate conception, story of Jesus and Mary. But we'll get into that because, so yeah, off rip parthenogenesis. Now, molecular, I just butchered that word, molecularly or cellularly. Another thing that lets you know that woman is God, or they reign supreme first, is the simple fact that they possess the XX chromosome. Now, if you know anything about genetics from cells, our two cells, what, prokaryotic, eukaryotic, from cells. When actually I think it's just eukaryotic, but I think they kind of switch that. And by they, you already know who I'm talking about. You feel me? You know what I mean? The white man, your scientists, the people who you believe before your own melanin, your own blackness. I think it's necessarily prokaryotic that they actually switch the roles of. I think prokaryotic actually do have the nucleus and carry the genetic material to further out, the process of generating genetic material, cellular material. But anyway, they give it to eukaryotic cells if you search it right now. So from eukaryotic cells, we get the XX chromosomes. Now, we already know the XX chromosomes are feminine, women-based. And from those chromosomes is where we get the XY chromosome. You feel me? The Y chromosome in general is considered the masculine or the male chromosome. But before it's male, it's XX. It's female. You see what I'm saying? It's actually not until the XX chromosome of the woman loses about 3% of its genetic material, thus creating the Y chromosome, even alphabetically. After X comes Y. See where I'm going? So, and before I even touch into that, since we are in the process of the hierarchy of the cells and chromosomes and things like that, I can go ahead and touch back on the mitochondria, or why they call it the mitochondrial Eve. Now, mitochondria lie within the cells, many cells, majority of the cells of a DNA, in the nucleus of a DNA, that creates its own genetic material. You feel me? Now, what does that mean? Genetic material, genes. You feel me? From genes, we get chromosomes. From chromosomes, are cells. So the mitochondria are the very things within cells that create its own material to create from. You see what I'm saying? And it's solely in the mother. It's solely in the woman. Only. Which literally means it gives the instruction, just like many mothers do throughout living organisms. It gives the instruction for DNA to even synthesize, to even do its job. You feel me? To even convert light and energy into the very substances we need to have genetic material and consciousness and things of that nature. So if Lucy was nicknamed the mitochondrial Eve, that means she was the first, physically speaking, woman, human entity to give instruction to every other human or entity. Oh, by the way, and I don't even know how I skipped this, she was discovered in Ethiopia, which is in Africa. Africa is the land of black people, darkness, dark melanated beings. You see where I'm going with this? As a matter of fact, even to just give you some brief history on Ethiopia. Ethiopia, according to mythology and many, many sacred texts, way before the Bible, Ethiopia is actually also formerly known as Axum or Nubia, birth ancient civilizations like ancient Egypt, also known as Kemet. You feel me? Even Jamaica. Jamaica understands its genetic heritage, its lineage stems back from Ethiopia, which is why they rep the Ethiopian flag. So Lucy being discovered in Ethiopia, the birth of civilizations in Africa, Africa being the land of dark-skinned people, melanin people, black people, you can understand that the first genes, mitochondrial genes, the first, should I say, human DNA, was discovered in the motherland. Hence, mitochondrial is solely in mothers. See where I'm going with this? Cool. So, with that being said, like I said, we get the XX chromosomes from cells. Mitochondria in cell are parts of the cell that create its own genetic material. Genetic, we get the word gene. From cells, you get the chromosomes. From chromosomes, you get genes. And then from genes, you get genome or DNA. DNA lets you know the full spectrum of genetic material of an organism, which is, and like I said, mitochondria is solely in women. And it gives instruction for DNA to even create more DNA, more protein, called protein biosynthesis, by the way. It gives the instruction for DNA to even be DNA, for cells to even create cells, for protein to even create protein. It births instruction, just like women birth men. But let's continue. So, after they lose about 3% of their genetic material, thus forming the XY chromosome, and is actually considered genetically for lack of a better term, a defect. Men are considered a genetic defect of women. Because, the woman, the XX chromosome, had to lose about 2.8%, 3% of its material. Now, that can be seen in all men physically today. Case in point, the excessive skin over a man's penis, over a boy's penis when they're born. That's nothing more than the remains of vaginal tissue from its mother, which goes back to why traditionally, indigenous tribes, black tribes, circumcised. It is because traditionally and genetically you're not considered yet a man, a boy, until you're circumcised, until you get that excess skin that comes from the vaginal walls of your mother removed. Makes sense? Is also why women have nipples that secrete milk and men do not. We all have nipples, but men don't secrete milk. That goes back to that loss of genetic material, the defect, so to say, that we are from women. All right. Keeping that in mind, though, going back to the whole XX chromosome before it even becomes XY chromosome, you can even take it back to the birth canal, to when you're in the womb, the physical womb, not the cosmic womb. When you're still in the womb of your mom, of a woman, you're still considered a woman for like 6 to 8 weeks. You feel me? We're all born a woman, which makes sense because, like I said, the strongest force after the unification of electromagnetism, the energy of masculine, feminine energy, you get the feminine first and then the masculine. Once they are polarized or segregated, disconnected. But before you're disconnected, within source, you are dominantly feminine. You feel me? So even in the womb, 6 to 8 weeks in, genetically, molecularly, biologically, you're still considered the XX chromosome. You're still considered female. This is science. Can't make this shit up. You feel me? But good news is it makes sense. You know, it all makes sense. Even to touch further, you know, as far as biologically speaking, to even touch further on that. Since we now know that the woman birthed man, you know, which means your father, your uncles, your nephews, you know, from man. Well, from women come man. So you have to apply that across the board throughout all religions, all things you were taught at first. Matter of fact, get rid of all the shit that you were taught and apply this, because this is natural, scientifically proven, metaphysically proven, genetically proven, cosmically proven, spiritually proven. It's the fucking blueprint. You know what I'm saying? It's the foundation. But getting back to my example of what I mean, that even if you continue biologically on your planet to even see that this is the case, look at a plant or a flower, I should say. Look at a flower. Many flowers possess, first off, many flowers, if not majority, are feminine. From flowers, we get the seeds. From the pollination and the carrying of those seeds throughout the air, we get the seeding and planting of more flowers. You see what I'm saying? Like, from women, we get men and more women, or children, or life, technically. From women, we get life. From women, we get children. We're all children of women. From the seed of flowers and plants, you get more plants. You see what I'm saying? This shit all lines up. It's all aligned. Look at fruit. If you look at pictures on the fruit, fuck around, look at your timeline when people retweet the fruit, how it resembles the vagina. Feel me? Surrounded by the opening of that fruit that symbolizes the vagina, you see seeds. The very seeds that make more fruit. You feel me? It's like the men put the seeds in the egg of a woman to create more life. But what they don't tell you is from those seeds, from that egg, from that woman came the seeds in general. So it still goes back to the woman. And not just the woman, the feminine, the divine feminine at that. Magnetism, God, you feel me? Straight like that. And that's an as above, so below perspective. You feel me? Like I said, I related it to humans, to plant life. You know what I'm saying? Cosmically, with energy, because the overall energy, the overall spirit of God, the highest extent of the mind, is an electromagnetic force, an orgone force, an infinite, eternal source of love and intelligence. But when you condense it, you get magnetism, a feminine aspect. That's even proven in DNA, but we'll talk about that later. Subscribe to my channel. I'll be talking about a lot of shit. But from the divine feminine, you get the divine masculine, if you will. You feel me? I mean, it's straight like that. On the whole hierarchy, the whole level, the whole ladder. It's like this. This shit can't be made up. You feel me? They don't teach you this, and you probably won't see this in your books because they're taking it. A lot of it wasn't even in the first place, but it's out here because I did the research. Plenty of scholars have done the research. But anyway, like I said, on an as above, so below perspective, you even see from the feminine, you get more feminine, more masculine. You get children, you get life, you get creation, you get the process over and over and over again. Fucking cycle. You know what I'm saying? Straight like that. Now, let's talk about it realistically of why the fact that God is the black woman, or a woman in general, but in this case, a black woman, because the black woman was first. Melanin, darkness was first before light. You know what I'm saying? Let's even talk about it realistically. Oh, and before I do that, mind you, I could have gave ample more examples and scenarios. But this, you know what I'm saying? This is brief. You feel me? But stay tuned, because it's all going to tie back into almost all information out there. But anyway, realistically speaking, hold on. Well, I got long ass eyelashes, boy. That's genetic. I think it's from my mom's side anyway. You feel me? Shit almost got in my eye. But anyway, realistically, why the black woman, a woman, the divine feminine is God? Let's take it back to the womb. Let's see. If you're brought into this world because of a woman, that means if she didn't exist, you wouldn't exist. But I'm not done. Even when you're in the womb, and I mean, because we're not talking about the cosmic womb, because, I already broke that down. But when you're in the womb physically of your mom, what she eats, you eat. If she don't eat, you don't eat. Physically, not getting into too many detail, because, we can talk about this shit later. Subscribe to my channel. But if she don't eat, you don't eat. And if you don't eat, you don't survive. You know what I'm saying? You don't get your nutrients. And then also, when you come out of the womb, besides the fact that the white man or doctors controlled by the white man take you out, do what they do, cut your umbilical and shit, the very cord that you need that supplies you spiritually, biologically to your mom. After they snip that motherfucker, spank you on your ass and shit, and take you off to do a whole bunch of shit that I'm not even gonna get into yet, because that's a whole nother video. But the shit ain't what you think it is. It's technically detrimental. But after they snip you, take you out, clean you up, and bring you back, the first person you crave, even when you come out that motherfucker, you're craving your mom. Not no man, not no Jesus. God, Jesus, is your fucking mom when you come out. That's every child, every organism born. You're craving your mother. The titty of your mother at that, because her ass got the fucking nutrients for you to survive in this motherfucker. After you eat, then you're craving the affection and love from her, the warmth, the comfort, the magnetic energy of her. Before anything, before you even know what the fuck you are, before thought, all you know is that your mother got it. Speaking of your mother got it, nigga, listen to me. Even when you out here in the world, regardless if you don't have a mom or not, I'm talking about the divine feminine, the feminine aspect. big mama, your grandma, your auntie. You run to a woman first. If she ain't God, then why would you even run to her for every scenario? Nigga, I don't got no gas money, I don't got no food, boy, let's go to mom's crib. Feel me? You hurt yourself, man. You run, mama. Come on. You know, and this is not to take anything away from the fathers or the father figures. Not at all. Because them father figures ran to their mama too. Or some type of mother or feminine entity, period. You know, motherfucking calf coming out. It's running straight to the mom. Food and nurturing and knowledge. You know, after the fact, then you get, you know, you get the protective aspects. You get the logic and the survival instincts later from the father. But first you get the nurturing and nutrition and substance from your mother. I mean, really that simple. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, I literally just broke down. Of course, I could have went more in depth, but I literally broke down what God is. Prove to you that it's not just a he, you know, because the concept of God is, you know, just a man, and from that man came another man. How? Oh, okay. And then I broke down why it's black, dark, melanin, whatever the fuck. First off, people who also say, you know, I'm not black, I'm not broke. It's deeper than black, bruh. When people say that, I mean, you will learn that once you usurp yourself in the matrix, though. Like Walker said, you get out more, you travel more. Because, by the way, I'm in fucking Mexico. You feel me? A melanin dominant country. Melanin being black, being dark pigmentation from the absorption of light, light coming from ether, ether being black. You feel me? But black is literally just a color of all colors. Even metaphysically, according to the great Dr. Blair, late great Dr. Blair, a supreme metaphysician at that, said that melanin isn't even black in most places of the cosmos. It's actually dark, dark green, which makes sense because, like I told you, God is not just, you know, it's not a concept. It's not God. It's an infinite creator. It's an infinite source, eternal source of intelligence and love. Feel me? And the heart chakra, you know, because a lot of people put the heart as red. It's actually green. The energy, the aura, color of the heart, which emits love, is green. And so for melanin to be dark, dark green, that can technically symbolize the fact that melanin, you know, because without melanin, there's no light. Without darkness, there's no light, you know. So, you know, without melanin, without black, there's no life. For it to be dark, dark green would symbolize the fact that not only is it infinite, eternal, but it's filled with love. You feel me? Which is why the love of your mother is so important before your father. Because you wouldn't have a father without a mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, where I could go all day with this shit. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, you know what I mean? Just stay tuned. It's my first video. I had to start off like this. I had to start off strong. Oh my God, bro. See this? This is true spirituality. This is true religion. No pun intended. Fuck religion. But this is true spirituality. The Ankh. The many nicknames. Key to life. The symbol of life. You feel me? See that top part? That's the womb. That's the vagina. The pussy. The cosmic womb. That's the penis. Shaft. Phallus. The dick. And then the arms. See that part? It's life. Children. Exactly what this means. Your cross, on the other hand, whether you want to believe it or not, I don't care, symbolically and spiritually, means one of two things. One, homosexuality, straight like that. It means man and man. You don't see no opening, no insert going into the opening, and then thus creating something. Nah, you just see a whole bunch of shit just forcefully joined, just sticking in. That's symbolically representing man and man, father and son. You know, the God in Jesus, God being the white man, the man aspect, and then just the son. It literally represents homosexuality and the fact that a woman or Eve isn't present. It's deceptive. You feel me? But this represents life, because I just told you, from life has to be the organ, the orgasmic, the organic energy of masculine and feminine in unity, unified energy, unified consciousness. But from that unified consciousness, it is feminine based. It is divinely feminine. It is feminine first, because feminine energy is the creative force, is the dominant energy of life, of existence. You feel me? So this very ankh represents the procreation. Especially since a lot of spiritualist people, metaphysicians, and things of that nature would talk about sex. Physically speaking, sex is the energy or the organ energy on this realm, you know, physically speaking, 3D, that brings in life. Aside from the fact that, you know, if I'm not mistaken, I think about 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, women had the power to undergo parthenogenesis, you know, like I said, which is self-fertilization, to just bring life by itself. But after them losing that genetic material due to nanotechnology manipulating and psychological based manipulation, it usurped that. So later, you know, you had to result in sex, the exchanging of chromosomes and things of that nature, you know what I mean? But this ankh represents sex, procreation of life. The cross does not. The cross, technically, the other meaning would be blocking. You know, that's what they call it, the crucifix. You know, it's a cross, but it's also an X. It X's out the divine feminine aspect for creation, for spirituality to continue to unfold, to expand, to be attracted and refracted, you know what I'm saying, to be sparked, you know, goes back to electromagnetism. So, you know, I just proved, like I started stuttering like Rick and Morty. I just proved, though, the fact that God is black and a woman. And like I said, I did it. Technically, this is really simplified. If you, honestly, I refer, if you want to more, if you need to go more in depth, which I will go more in depth with other videos discussing other topics, stay tuned to that. But if you need a more in-depth understanding, overstanding of this truth, you know, hit up videos or subscribers like, or hit up videos from Dr. Blair. Feel me? Dr. Delbert Blair, for certain. Young Pharaoh as well. Phil Valentine. Sarah Sutanseti. And many more, really. But, yeah. You know, I mean, that's it right there, clear as day. Feel me? Clear as day. I mean, it's the yin yang, you know, masculine, feminine, magnetism, electricity, you feel me? Everything holds the feminine aspect, the woman aspect. Everything was black first. It's not just God, it's an infinite source eternal source of intelligence. And the reason I say intelligence, because it goes back to genes and DNA. They're literally structures of intelligence. You feel me? Intelligence meaning to be able to do anything, to function. The mitochondria DNA is the supreme intelligence. You know, you first get intelligence and love from the mother. You feel me? So, I mean, straight like that, that concludes this video. You feel me? It's your boy King Serious, you know, Conscious Gang. Subscribe to my channel, more will be coming. And, you know, one love.